Barry? Can you hear me, Barry?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent, thank you. How are you?
We are pretty good. Thank you for having you here today. We have all the fellows here. I'm gonna present. Can you see them very good?
I do.
Well,
You want me to put a jacket on? All of you are dressed up?
absolutely yes.
I can do
That
it.
that's a very special day for us. Great, great. Just this is not being transmitted yet, streamed, okay, yet. We have not opened the streaming yet. Just to confirm with you the protocol and everything, okay. Our protocol we're gonna be announcing 1 minute before we open the stream to the public, okay. So we're going to be open the regular meeting on Rotary, okay. After that, doing some technical recommendations, we're going to be speaking in Portuguese, okay. So you have the translation in time. So right now, I will start to speak in Portuguese to see if you are receiving the audio in English, okay.
I don't have a translation on my screen.
No. You're gonna be receiving the audio directly through the audio equipment. Então, a tradutora está a postos. Eu vou começar a falar aqui em português. Pode traduzir para o Barry. Boa noite, Barry Rassin. Não? Não tá, eles não estão ouvindo o áudio lá. Boa noite.
Good evening.
Boa noite, Barry.
Good evening, Barry Rassin.
Okay. I will send you the behind the schema after the call. We have a bunch of equipment and staff here. Okay, so sounds like we are pretty good. All right, nós estamos aqui alguns minutos.
So we are a few minutes ahead, so the audio test is okay. You can hear as well? Okay, great, perfect. So now let's wait. And how is the weather in Bahamas? Great? Great. Demetrius, guys, when he speaks English, shouldn't they have the phone to hear? So it's just when when he presents the lecture. Okay. So they have to put the headphone now. And don't you have to, should they test, see if everything's working beforehand, so that everything will be at hand and prepared? Okay. So they won't need the phone, the headphones, but we need to turn them on then. So they just have to put them on. Okay, they don't have to turn anything on. Barry, você pode falar um pouquinho em inglês, por favor, só para a gente testar um pouquinho, para ver se eles estão recebendo áudio em português da tradução. Vocês conseguem me escutar, Barry? Parece haver um problema quando eu tento compartilhar a tela.
Com o compartilhamento de tela. Não, deixa ele testar, ele quer testar. Libera para ele testar. Nós vamos liberar o compartilhamento de tela. Just a second, we're gonna allow you to share the screen. Alberto? Here we go. It's enabled now.
I tried to share the screen and it does not work properly.
Não tá funcionando direito. Can you try again, please?
Yep. There's a button at the bottom that says optimize the video clip, but that does not allow me to press it. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen. Shape your Rotary's future.
Oh, okay. So that comes through then.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Yeah, we were seeing that. I don't know if something happened on your end.
Working differently. And normally I don't see me, I just see the screen.
Okay, wonderful.
As long as you see it, that's fine.
Vocês estão ouvindo em português ele? Quando ele fala em inglês, está tudo bem aí em português?
Vocês conseguem escutar em português quando ele fala inglês? Ok?
Ah, tá bom. Ok. Então, os testes estão todos concluídos com sucesso. Nós iniciaremos em 3 minutos, Presidente Barry.
So, President Barry will start in 3 minutes. Unfortunately, I can't offer you a glass of wine.
Mas na
But
próxima
the
oportunidade,
next opportunity, I hope we can cheer together.
Yes, I do. So do I. Ok. Então tudo. 3 minutos para o início.
So 3 minutes to the beginning.
Pode ter o pessoal que vai chegar em cima da hora. Minha sugestão. Eu 29, aí você vem aqui no grupo, o pessoal, dentro de 1 minuto. Tá bom? Ok, Barry. We are pretty close. Vou deixar meu papel aqui, tá? Na verdade eu vou levar lá. Vou levar pra fazer. Tá. Pessoal, tá sendo tudo gravado. Cell phones on silent mode.
Boa noite a todos. Gostaria de informar Boa noite a todos.
Good evening, everyone.
Muito obrigado pela presença.
Thank you for being here. I would like to inform everyone that in 1 minute we'll begin today's meeting. Thank you very much. I'd like everyone to salute the flags of Brazil. Good evening, everyone. We are opening right now the meeting 37 together with the Rotary Club São Paulo, Sumaré, Jardim das Bandeiras and Pinheiros and Lapa today for the years 2021. This is a milestone for us because we have with us today the International President of Rotary, Barry Rassin. So now, please, let's all stand up for the national Brazilian anthem.
Welcome and thank you very much for having me here today. Peço a todos uma calorosa salva de palmas.
Please, everyone, let's give a warm round of applause to the President of International Rotary Club, Barry Rassin, years 2018-2019. Today is the last Tuesday of April, and coincidentally would be the year of our traditional Bandeirantes Awards, which pay homages to the the highlights of the Paulista celebrities. I hope that next year we can celebrate presentially service above self, which is our motto in Rotary, and I have to mention also the quadruple proof. It's the truth. It's just for everyone. You will create better friendships and will benefit for everyone. Senhor Presidente Barry Rassin, vamos falar em português vamos fazer em português esta reunião, se for tudo bem por você. I'd like to highlight the importance of this meeting for our District 4563 and for Brazil. To be able to share a few minutes with a Rotarian, of such an expressive Rotarian, is a privilege to us. Us, presidents and directors of District 4563, under Governor João Altioro, with great energy, love, and effectiveness, and maintaining the liveliness in this very delicate moment of the pandemic. São Paulo Rotary Club Jardim das Bandeiras, Alto de Pinheiros, is 51 years old in service. To be president of this club is an honor. Our district 4563 has 89 clubs, which are very dynamic and united, active in the proposal of the Rotary, which is to serve. I now would like to present a video which illustrates our story and our projects.
Olá, amigos e amigas, companheiros e companheiras. Meu nome é Alan Borges, sou presidente do Rotary Clube de São Paulo, Jardim das Bandeiras.
I'm Alan Borges, president of Alto da Banheira, Jardim de Pinheiros Rotary, and I present this video in the name of our club, which is part of the District 4063, and it's 51 years old, very rich in serving, with several projects, not only locally, but in several regions of our country and in other continents even. Here are some of the great projects we have executed. So the distribution of clay water filters. This project had the partnership of clubs from California and the sponsorship of Rotary Foundation, where we were able to distribute 80,000 clay water filters for the underprivileged in São Paulo, making drinkable water available for more than 50,000 people, reducing by 30% child mortality in these regions, avoiding diseases provoked by contaminated water. Hepatitis C campaign. We have tested several thousands of people in Brazil during 2018 and 19, which was enabled to detect that 15% of the tested people were carriers of the virus hepatitis C, which enabled them to be directed to specialized clinics for treatment. This project was then carried out in 52 countries, especially the African continent, where we carried it out in 31 countries. Today in International Rotary, we have this project as part of the group of Rotary in Action, and this was the largest public health service made in Brazil, with several clubs adhering to this campaign. The Corona Zero campaign, initially the purpose of the campaign was to test COVID-19 in the elderly that lived in retirement homes, and the project was a success, becoming a global campaign that most definitely was the largest humanitarian project made by Rotarians in our country. With the involvement with all Brazilian districts, we tested 50,000 elderly tested residents in 1,520 retirement homes, and these institutions received all guidance for safety and for avoiding dissemination of the virus. According to the Ministry of Health, the result was extraordinary. Our country had one of the smallest mortality rates between elderly, 2.5, very different from Europe and the United States, where the mortality of elderly reached about 40%. With this project, we were able to save the life of several elderly people. The Campus Talentos, which is a non-profit organization with a social DNA for qualifying the youth for employment and for social and cultural activities, as well as the elderly that are underprivileged and impoverished. Founded in 1978 by Rotarians, today it's administered by 3 Rotaries in São Paulo: Rotary, Alto Jardim das Bandeiras, Alto da Lapa, and Pinheiros. Our numbers prove the efficiency of the campus Talentos. Over 50,000 teenagers, adults, and elderly people were served in the several social projects and programs which are offered free of charge. More than 17,000 young people were inserted into the labor market. We have more than 1,000 partner companies that trust our work and help to employ people. Over 26,000 young people were trained for the program, citizenship program. And over 1,200 people were impacted positively since 2015 by our workshop and income generation. The campaign to prevent blindness, Abril Marrom, which means brown April. This name was chosen because brown eyes are the majority of the color of eyes of the Brazilian population. Abril Marrom is a month to provide awareness about blindness and how can avoid it from happening. According to WHO, 60% of blindness in the world can be avoided, and 20% of blindness already installed can be reversed. And during the entire April, we make this campaign on the national level, where eye doctors with other entities make lectures, write publications, and promote several publications. Pega Visão is a project which offers doctor care and eye care and offer for free glasses for those that need it. The target audience are children, elderly, and impoverished population in general. And we took this program to the State Public College Alves Cruz, where 370 children, parents, and employees of the school were served. During the day in this school, not only there were the doctor care, the Pega Visão project also offered educational lectures, yoga workshop, arts workshop, and bio building. Then we have Projeto Integração, Integration Project, which was created in 2003 to support voluntary groups with several partnerships, such as Consegue Pinheiros, Consegue Butantã, Rotary Club of São Paulo, Jardim das Bandeiras, Alto de Pinheiros, Associações de Bairros, Lions Club de Sumarão, and several others, including the police. One of the purposes of the project is to work with children and teenagers to prevent violence and drug use through teaching arts, music in general, by enriching their repertoire within cultural activities, providing and offering to them several activities from several art projects. We have more than 1,000 children which were formed by this project. These are just some of the projects that our club carried out throughout its existence, and I'm very proud to preside this club, and reminding that we have other projects, programs, and actions ongoing in our club, which shows that we are continuously evolving to support our community, city, state, and country to always to always service above self. I hope you enjoyed our video. I wish you the best. Thank you very much. Now, Eliseu Lima, please, you may take the floor.
Dear fellow President Barry, you are welcome.
Olá, Presidente Barry. Bem-vindo. I'd like to announce the composition of our panel, which in our virtual and on-site meeting. First of all, Alan Borges, our president, whose motto is Rotary Opens Opportunities. Number 2, our lecturer, IR president, Barry Rassin, president through 2010 and 2019, whose motto was Be the Inspiration. Then we have also Mário César, who is the director of the Rotary International 2019-2021. Then we have also our governor, João Antiório, governor of the district 4563 between 2020 and 2021. We have the IR president, José Antônio Figueiredo Antiório, who was president between 2011 and 2013, and remotely our governor of District 4563, Edson Borcato, who will be present through YouTube. And then we have also remotely our partners, Nadia Zacarias, one of the most respected doctors of Brazil, and highly important to our Rotary, governor of District 4663 between 2003-2004. Then we have President Marcelo Nelcom from Sumaré Rotary Club, and myself, Eliseu Lima. I'd like to now present a brief summary of the CV of our eminent lecturer, President Barry. Barry Rassin was president of International Rotary in 2018-2019. He was his member of Rotary Club East Nassau, New Providence in Bahamas. He's formed in medicine with MBA in health and hospital management from the University of Florida. The first member of the American College of Healthcare Executives in the Bahamas. He has recently retired after 37 years as president of Doctors Hospital Health System, where he continues to serve as an advisor. He is a lifetime member of the American Hospital Association and has served on several boards, including the Quality Council of the Bahamas, Health Education Council, and Employers Confederation. A Rotarian since 1980, Rassin has served Rotary International and Vice President of the Rotary Foundation Board of Trustees. He was also IR training leader and the aide to 2015-2016 IR President K.R. Ravindran. Rassin received the greatest homage of Rotaries, which is the Service Above Self Award, as well as other humanitarian awards for his work, leading Rotary's relief efforts in Haiti after the 2010 earthquake in such country. He and his wife, Esther, are major donors and benefactors of the Rotary Foundation. Fellow Barry, obrigado por essa oportunidade. Por favor, a palavra é sua. Muito obrigado.
Okay, are we ready for me?
Podemos começar?
Yes?
Sim?
Okay.
Ok.
Great to be with you tonight.
Bom estar com vocês
I
hoje.
appreciate your invitation, Alan.
Obrigado pelo convite.
And I congratulate you on all the service that you have done in your district. 51 years is a great anniversary, and you should definitely celebrate when you think about all the people that you have helped over those years. You've changed lives. You've made a difference, and that's fantastic. And I urge you to continue the great work that you do. I've been working with a small group of Rotarians over the last 3 years of trying to rethink what we should do for the future of Rotary. We started with the idea, let's not just try to fix something, let's design Rotary as if it were starting today. So let's rethink and ask ourselves, what is the world we're in today, and how should Rotary be structured in this world today? Now, keep in mind, that was before COVID. So I'm not talking about the COVID world, I'm talking about the world before COVID, and at some point in time, the world after COVID. What should we look like as an organization? Now, what I'm going to tell you and describe to you today has not been fully approved by the board as something to do. All we've said is, let's try and see if this structure works in some parts of the world. And we have a couple of areas of the world that wish to test the model over the next few years so that we can see how it works and what's good and what's not good and make adjustments. So I don't want anybody thinking that this is something that Rotary is doing. This is just some really good ideas of a new way to run our organization. And everybody doesn't love it, but what we want to do is give it a try and show that it can work or not. So what I want to do is show you some slides and kind of walk you through the process of what we want to accomplish. Shaping Rotary's Future is the name of the committee, and that's exactly what we want to do. You know, we've been an incredible organization. I believe the #1 humanitarian organization in the world for over 100 years. But the only way an organization like ours can continue to be relevant and impactful is by evolving, by changing, by growing, to meet the needs of today's members and future generations of Rotarians and Rotaractors. Now, to safeguard Rotary's future, we must continue to adapt while still providing a robust and fulfilling membership experience. Now, for the last several years, there's a committee of members, as I said, dedicated to looking into our future. We ask ourselves, how can we engage current members while creating a membership experience that attracts new voices? Do our leadership roles provide enough value to our members? These are some of the questions we asked. At the same time, we said, we asked ourselves, what should remain? We don't want to change our core values. We don't want to change who we are and what we do. We just want to change the way we do it to make it more relevant today. Today is not the same as it was when we started in 1905. The pace of change has accelerated, and we have not kept up. So it's important that our core values do keep up, that we continue to understand that fellowship is important to our organization and for what we do, that integrity is how people see us and is why people give us money, because they trust us. Our diversity, that we represent our communities, and we must do better at that. The service is what most people know us by, and we have to continue our service. And we're all leaders. We lead not only in Rotary, but in our communities. And that's who we are. So let's not change who we are. Let's just change how we do what we do. Now, Arch Klump said that Rotary will not go backward, nor can it remain stationary. It must push forward. So how could it be structured? Would you use the same governance model and leadership roles that we currently have? Or would you develop something completely new? Chances are you would do something different. At least that's what our members want us to do. They want to be part of an organization that is innovative and nimble, that offers clear paths to leadership and adapts to the evolving needs of members and our communities. So we began shaping Rotary's future. Now, what we want to do is make sure that we create meaningful, doable jobs based on our participant and club needs. So that's one of the things that our proposed governance structure will provide. We also have to be providing our deliver value to our participants in our clubs efficiently and effectively. And the new structure has to be able to do that. We must support Rotary's strategic initiatives and our goals. We should focus more on the participant experience. And you'll see some numbers in a moment that will shock you. And that's why we need to be thinking more about our members, Rotarians and Rotaractors, and make sure we're giving them the experience that they expect. We also need to streamline the organization to create effective governance. When you look at what we have today, you would be amazed at how many layers there are within the organization between the Rotary and Rotaract Club and the board of Rotary International. It's very hard to get information from the board to the club or from the club to the board. We've got to streamline that organization. And we have to ensure the structure is flexible. We need to be able to evolve as our members grow and develop. Our organization needs to grow and develop. So there are things we need to do to make sure that happens. So maybe you're wondering now, why does Rotary need to change at all? In some parts of the world, membership is up, but member retention is down. The age of our members continues to grow, and we still struggle with this perception that Rotary is for certain people. And this is compounded by the fact that we have yet to reach gender parity in membership and leadership. And I'm going to show you the numbers to make that case. So in order to thrive, we must consider the needs of our future generations. If we don't change as quickly as the world does, the Rotary we know today will not be here tomorrow. So let's begin by looking at our current governance model. As you can see, it is hampered by layers of hierarchy and doesn't provide a clear path to leadership, which hinders our decision-making and limiting our communication. What you don't see is that at the district level, there are 29 mandated positions, plus an additional 13 recommended roles. And at the regional level, there are 200 regional leadership roles, with an additional 547 assistant leadership positions. Many of these positions are filled by appointment, meaning that some skilled, capable, and knowledgeable Rotarians don't have visibility or access to these leadership opportunities. And finally, Rotary is not included in this model. They operate separately, even though we're all one organization. It's a missed opportunity to engage with our young professionals. So let's look at a few other challenges that Rotary is facing. One of the biggest issues for Rotary is a member engagement and retention. You see our number. This is how much our number of Rotarians that are in the world today. And next year, we're going to budget for a reduction in that. Maybe just because of COVID-19, maybe because we continue to lose our Rotarians. But guess what? Our global membership has decreased steadily over the past 5 years. We have nearly 1.2 million Rotarians, as you see, but in the last 10 years, 1,385,187 of our members left us. We lost more members than we have in the organization today within 10 years. That should give us the message that we're doing something wrong. We're not engaging, we're not meeting the expectations of our members. We must create a structure that changes this trend in our organization. When we look at our gender diversity, we know that women have been with us for some 30 years, but they only make up 24% of our global membership. Now, in some parts of the world, that percentage is higher, but many other countries are well below that average. We're seeing tremendous growth from 10 years ago, as you see in this graph. But if this trend continues, Rotary will not achieve gender parity until the year 2050. Rotary, on the other hand, has already achieved gender parity, with 51% of its global membership are women. Rotary is way ahead of us. It's time we learn from Rotary so that we could do the good things that they're doing. And when you look at our leaders in the regional positions and the percentage of men and women, you could see that women are still only 24%, the highest being the RPICs, which are around 33%. But at the district level, many parts of the Rotary world continue to have leaderships dominated by more experienced males. And less than 6% of district governors are younger than 60 years old. Less than 6% are under 60. Now, I have nothing against people over 60. Please understand that. I'm way over 60. So I have a respect for us, all of us. But our organization needs better diversity. Like our global membership, less than 25% of women serve in regional or district leadership roles. When we look at regional leadership specifically and see 33% of RPICs are women. But until the last Rotary year, an RPIC was the only regional leader position that didn't require members to be a past district governor. There's a connection there. RPICs are generally comprised of more women than the other positions. Now, this is an example of a barrier to leadership. Requiring a member to serve as a PDG before they can be a regional leader may limit their growth opportunities. When we prioritize the Rotary resume over professional experience and personal goals, it rewards those who have been members longer, without considering their knowledge or their ability or their leadership skills. So let's talk about our governance model that we have come up with. First, look at the organization plan. Now, you remember what we showed you earlier, the current governance model. Instead of this, we are proposing something new. Members will continue to belong to a Rotary or a Rotaract club, as you can see at the bottom of the chart, Clubs will remain unchanged, though they will be grouped into sections. Each section will only have 10 to 30 Rotary and Rotaract clubs, with one section leader providing guidance and motivation. Now keep in mind, they're only providing guidance and motivation. They have no administrative responsibility. Districts will be restructured into regions that are governed locally by a regional council. And finally, there's the board of directors and the trustees, along with the newly created global cadre of experts to help members, clubs, and regional councils. Each member, Rotarians and Rotaractors within a region, can apply to and elect their regional council representatives and section leaders. So we're moving more away from appointments to elections, so there's more involvement of clubs as to who their leaders will be. Now, when we talk about the global level, the RI board and the trustees do not change. However, in addition, there will be a global cadre. Now, this is not like the cadre we have today for the Rotary Foundation. These leaders will provide expertise on specific topics that represent core functions of a club. Their expertise may originate from their Rotary experience or from their professional lives, both of which will be actively solicited and valued. These experts are resources who can help the clubs to achieve their goals. Now, unlike the current regional leaders, the cadre is not expected to communicate with districts or clubs. They are trained, they are certified to be experts in their field, they're internationally based, so they're closer to the regions, and they're available to every club and regional council. Now, when we shift to the regional level, we know what works in one part of the world doesn't necessarily work in another part. Those clubs who share similar culture, language, and geography will be grouped into a region and governed by a regional council that will make decisions about club, member, and community needs in a more localized way. The regional council manages the day-to-day activities, like assessing regional dues, creating committees, supporting section leaders. And there will be some 20 to 40, I believe this will probably go to maybe 50 regions around the world, as opposed to the 530 districts we have around the world today. Each regional council will have 12 elected positions, that's elected by the members of the clubs, who will be chosen by the Rotarians and Rotaractors within the region to serve a 3-year term. So they have a longer period to work, and therefore actually I would have more ability to make change than the district governors do today. The regional council reports to the board of directors as a whole, not to an individual director, as we see with our current structure. This should free up the board to be more strategic with its time and focus its duties as international directors and not as regional leaders. Now, when we get to the sections, we're moving away again from the districts. So the Rotary and Rotaract clubs will be organized into the sections, as I mentioned, 10 to 20 sections each, and they will be governed by a section leader. Actually, it's more like supported by the section leader as opposed to governed, because they do not have administration. Based on the current amount of clubs in the world, there will be probably some 1,700 section leaders around the world, with 10 to 30 Rotary and Rotaract clubs per section. The number of sections per region will vary depending on volunteer population, on language, and on culture. Now, the section leader will lead, motivate, and inspire, a word I happen to love, a set of clubs within a geographic area. With fewer clubs to support, section leaders can concentrate their efforts on helping clubs to reach their goals. They will serve for 4 years, again, longer terms so they can accomplish more during their time. They'll have 2 years as the elect and 2 years as the section leader. Expanding their leadership terms provides more consistent support and continuity for the clubs. And like the regional council, Rotarians and Rotaractors can apply to and elect their section leader. The section leader position is not replacing the district governor role. Instead, we're taking the best parts of the district governor position and dividing it so the administrative responsibilities transition to the regional council, while section leaders take on the role of motivating and guiding the clubs. This division of responsibilities allows members to choose a leadership role that better aligns with their professional goals and interests. The reality is, many more Rotarians and Rotaractors would be able to have the time and the skills to be section leaders to help our clubs to become strong clubs. So, that's it. By introducing a more streamlined governance structure, we can remove some layers of hierarchy, increase efficiency, and attract new voices into Rotary leadership. This change will benefit our organization and our members today, while also laying the foundation for a strong future. As people of action, all of us believe in Rotary's future, but we also know that there's a big gap between who we are as an organization today and who we need and want to be. So we need to think about how are we going to change, what are we going to change, and how do we make our organization continue as the leading humanitarian organization in the world for the next 100 years. Thank you for listening.
Obrigado, Barry.
Thank you, Barry. Now I'm going to open to questions to the Rotarian authorities on the panel. Mário César Martins de Camargo, Director of International, Rotary 2019-2021. In Portuguese? Yes. Very nice to see you, Barry. Good to see you. We know that these changes mean passing the Council rules of 2022. How do you imagine, as you can imagine, until next year, how can you imagine that we'll actually have something next year in terms of actual experience, whether successful or not? That's one of the questions. And the second question, Barry, is, do you think that this model is paving its way to a greater regionalization of decision-making and not everything centralized based on the Everton headquarters?
Thank you, Mario. I know you'd ask me difficult questions, but I'll welcome them. For the council legislation for next year, we're still debating, do we need a council item? Because we want to test this model and still have the districts in play, we may actually be able to do this without a council decision. So we're still in that discussion right now. If it does go to the council, all we would be asking the council to do is not to approve the model, but to approve the ability to do a pilot in different parts of the world. and change the Constitution to allow this kind of pilot. So the council won't be even looking at what the model is. They'll only be looking at a different kind of pilot and to allow us to do that. So that's still a discussion of how we handle the Council on Legislation. The regionalization aspect of this model is really the strength of the model. And the idea would be, over time, to move many more decisions to the regional councils. So, because they understand the local culture, they understand the needs of their region better than an international board. And I'm not picking on the board here. That's just a reality that local regions would be able to understand their issues better than others would. So yes, as an example, countries that have many election disputes, they would now be handled at the regional council level, not at the Rotary International Board. And that frees up significant time for the Rotary International Board to be thinking more strategically about the organization as a whole. So I hope those answered your questions, Mary.
Agora com a palavra,
Now,
governador
please,
João Antiório,
Governor João Antiório, District 4563, years 2020-2021. Thank you, President Hallen, Director Maido Cesar. President Barry, first of all, it's a great honor and pleasure to talk to you today here at this round table, virtual round table, and at the same time on-site round table, which is very specific to this very complicated moment, but which also brought to us as an opportunity. So we have said here in our district that President Hogan could not have been more affirmative in his motto, which is Rotary opens opportunities, and these opportunities are what we're opening. And I'm happy, first of all, to be part of the 6% of governors of districts that are under 60. And if it's under 50, I think I'm even way below under 50, in fact. But now, talking a bit about young people, which one's your preferred topics, the last Legislation Council, we have a huge change, bringing Rotaract also to the same level to the Rotary clubs. This making Rotaract as important as the Rotary clubs, has it already benefited our organization, or will still need to see what the benefits will be?
Rotaract and our young professionals are on a journey. It started at the council 2 years ago this month, and many policies have changed along the way. The long-term effect, if we do this right around the world, will create an environment in Rotary clubs that our Rotaractors want to join. In the past, before that, only 4% of Rotaractors joined a Rotary club. So by changing all these rules, it has given Rotaractors a feeling of respect, a feeling that we're listening to them, a feeling that they're participating in the activities of the organization at all levels. They're sitting at the Rotary International Board table, they're sitting at the foundation table, they're sitting on the committees, they're sitting on districts. I know Rotaractors who are assistant governors, they're really becoming a stronger part of our organization. They have grown just in this 2 years from a little over 7,000 clubs to almost 11,500 clubs. That's almost a 50% increase in clubs. That tells you the excitement they have. Now the next step is to make sure that as they leave Rotaract, they join a Rotary club. But I believe we're already seeing the benefits because they are now involved in all parts of our organization. So we're getting a better understanding of what our young professionals are looking for from Rotary. And the more we understand that, and we change our cultures in our clubs to accommodate and be relevant to our young professionals, then we're going to see our organization grow. We're going to see that 6% that you're in grow to maybe 40% over time. I think we're well on our way in that direction, and I think that is a great benefit to our organization. Thank you for the question.
Com a palavra, José Antônio Figueiredo Antioro,
Director of International Rotary from
2011-2013.
2011 to 2013.
Be gentle, Jose Antonio.
Hello, Barry.
It's a pleasure to speak with you here at the presence of Mario, our fellowship, and also of my son, now governor. When you were in Brazil, at my home with Stead, we thought that you could be our great leader in the future. And by seeing you and by listening to you, this has become real. First of all, I had the opportunity to be part of the Legislation Council of 2019, and I saw your eagerness to have our youth participate in an important, relevant manner within the world's Rotary scenario. And that's when, together with you, we were able to include the Rotaract clubs together with the partnering with Rotary International. In the last on-site Rotary event, I told Mark Maloney, who was then president, that I believed that Rotary needed to change its focus. We have always had the same journey. We always have followed the same trajectory, which does not excite the world, whether the citizenship world or the Rotary world, which is to eliminate polio in the entire world. We know that this is very important. We assume this commitment, and we need to make this happen. But regionally, we have had several problems. And now you are an eyewitness, as a doctor, as a hospital administrator, that we are living a new world. And after this new world that we will see after this pandemic, if God blesses us in this sense, we will have to think in a completely different manner. I work in the educational area, as you know. We have had several problems in the educational area, especially with children and teenagers and young people, and the families breaking down in a very relevant manner. So we need to take a stance also in the environmental area, which Rotary has contributed by having a new focus on environment. So we have several situations at the international level which have become regionalized, which is the water resources, education, health, the environment, the youth, and mainly, most of all, what is going to happen, what is to come after this pandemic, especially to the children. Here in Brazil, for example, we have reports that we will take a long time to reach what we had before, about 5 to 6 years. And if we consider the world as a whole, we will only achieve what we had before only in 100 years' time. So these are very serious problems we're facing in Brazil. And I believe that maybe we began in the Rotary Board this new structuring. And what worries me a lot is that in a recent past, we were a very small group of regional leaders, and things were much more effective. They advanced more effectively, and now we have consecrated several leaderships that are maybe competing for their positions and avoiding us to benefit, to blossom, and to carry out our real and true mission of Rotary mission, which is to service people before serving ourselves. And I know that everything that you have said here, we can consolidate if there's an approval by the Legislation Council, but we know that the Legislation Council is heterogeneous. We have old members, we have next members, and future leaders. I don't know how we would be able to implement this. Maybe there would be a need of talking a bit more with the regional leaders to actually trace a profile of what we can do tomorrow in the future. So, dear Barry, I'd just like to tell you then, after making this statement, and I'd like to ask you, how can we change Rotary after the pandemic?
It's an interesting question. Thank you, Jose Antonio. You know, it's while the Rotary International Board and the Rotary Foundation are important to look at the world strategically, our Rotary clubs and Rotaract clubs really need to be asking themselves that question. What should a club and a community right now do differently? They're seeing that they're losing members. They're seeing that their community economy is going down, more difficult to raise funds. We're seeing membership drop. We're seeing revenue drop. We have a lot of challenges coming out of this pandemic. We're seeing our friends around us disappear. And that creates its own anxiety and its own concerns and fears. So I believe it's on our shoulders as Rotary clubs and Rotaract clubs to really be the ones who lead the way to help our communities feel more positive about where we're going. Today, there's a lot of anxiety everywhere. And I think our clubs, they're in a respected position in our communities that our communities listen. And if they come out and say, yes, we're going through this, yes, we're having a hard time, but we're going to get through this together and we're going to help you. In my country, Rotary is the ones who are organizing the vaccine program. And it's giving people a real feeling of optimism that here's this large group of people. We have about 100 volunteers a day. We're just a small country. We're not like Brazil. We're a tiny little speck on the planet. But we've got a lot of volunteers out there, and it's giving the rest of the community a feeling, I want to do that. I want to help people too, so I want to join. So we're actually seeing a growth in membership. We're seeing a growth in volunteerism in the country because of the dilemma we're in. You know, many people say that if you really want change, you need a crisis to get change. Well, we're in a crisis. And it's up to us as Rotarians, as leaders, to help lead that change for our own community, for our clubs and our own communities. If we don't do it, who will? We cannot rely on our governments, and that's nothing against our governments, but that's just a reality. It takes us as leaders to make the change. And some of the direction for that must come from the Rotary International Board of Directors, so they can help guide us through that. And I think our current president, Holger Kanak, is doing just that. He's helping reinforce what we can do, helping give us an optimism for the future. Because we must keep people positive. We must keep them focused on we are going to get out of this. this too shall pass. It's an expression we use quite often, because it will. We'll look back on this in 3-4 years and wonder how we survived. And we're going to wonder who helped us to survive. I want to see the communities say to themselves in 3 to 5 years, wow, you know, it was because of our Rotary clubs giving us a feeling and a sense of a good future. That's how we got through that. So I think we have, each and every one of us individually, collectively, as clubs, have a responsibility to lead that effort. So I think we will get through this, and we will come through it better than we were before, because that's what a crisis makes us do. So let's take that responsibility. Some people talk about the impossible dream, and they're thinking today we have the impossible dream. But Rotary makes the impossible come true and makes it possible. We can do that. So I look forward to the changes we're going to make to help our communities get through this, to see the other side of the pandemic. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Barry.
Agora eu estou aqui
Now I'm here
representando o
representing Governor Edson Borcato, who could not be with us today, but he's with us on YouTube. I'll be the spokesperson for his question. Dear President Barry Rassin, it's a pleasure to see you again. Isilda and myself, we hope that you and Esther are doing well. I see Rotaract still very far away from the intentions of Elevate. You defended the cause and won. How do you see the results? What should Rotarians do to better engage the Rotarians at Borcato?
As I mentioned earlier, I think Rotaractors have made a lot of changes themselves. So they have grown their clubs significantly, 11,436 last I saw. So that's a third of Rotary clubs around the world. They're really doing well. And we've changed a lot of the policies to help get them there. But the reality is, to be successful, it's not about changing policy. That just opens the door, opens those doors for opportunities. Our doors are open. But we've got to change our Rotary culture to make sure that the Rotaractors come through those doors. And that means every Rotary club needs to step back and ask themselves, what should we do different to be more relevant to our young professionals? Because it's not just about Rotaractors, it's about all of our young professionals in our communities. Why aren't they joining Rotary? And why aren't our members staying with us? I think many of our clubs need to sit down and listen to our young professionals. Just listen, hear them, what they have to say. I did that recently with another group actually from Brazil, and they have a long list of what they want, but it boils down to they don't want to go to boring meetings. They can't come during the middle of the day and leave their jobs or leave their families early in the morning. So they want to meet right after work for a drink so it's less expensive. They don't want to have to pay those dues for meals that they may or may not even get to. They want the fellowship that we have. They really want the mentoring that we can provide. But they also appreciate that they can mentor us because they understand this modern world in some ways better than we do. So they can help us, we can help them. When you come together like that, you create a relationship. And that's what we need to be doing now. We need to create relationships between Rotarians and Rotaractors so we listen to each other, we hear each other, and then we change to help each other. It's a two-way street. As the foundation, the trustees just decided yesterday that we have passed an item where Rotaractors are going to be asked to help with the foundation. We're going to bring them in to give them ability to host grants. They also now need to start contributing to our foundation. What they can afford. Doesn't have to be significant unless they can, but what they can afford. They need to be a part of our foundation. So I talk, this isn't Rotary, but I say we need to change E-Ray from E-R-E-Y to E-R-R-E-Y, every Rotarian and Rotaractor every year. So they've got to continue doing that. And our Rotarians need to continue to change their culture and reach out to the Rotaractors so that our Rotaractors feel comfortable that we want them to join our clubs and that we want the club to be more relevant to young professionals. And by the way, to everybody else. Too many of our clubs get stuck with a clique and they don't adjust so that other members of the community want to be a member of that club. We've got to look at our club cultures carefully to make sure that we truly are who we say we are as an organization. If we do all that, then we are going to succeed. And if Rotaractors over the next 5 years join Rotary clubs, as I believe they will, then we will finally, after 20 years, see our membership grow beyond 1.2 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Fazer uma pequena correção.
Thank you, Barry.
Aqui,
Just a small
Edson
correction.
Borcato,
Edson Borcato, governor of District 4563 from years 2018 to 2019. Edson, we will all wish you well, Governor. Now I'm the last to ask. I prepared my question here. So many Rotarian authorities, they have actually asked everything I wanted to ask. But first, I'm very satisfied to be part of the 6% also. I didn't know about this number. Myself and Governor Joe, we are part of the 6% share. I have a question about the polio. Polio has been trying to eliminate polio for several decades, investing lots of resources. And as José Antônio Figueiredo Anchorio said, several regions have suffered due to very basic problems such as poor sanitation, no access to drinkable water. How within this restructuring that is being carried out, and especially for the young professionals, younger than myself, which are the Rotarians, they have lots of purpose, they want to break hierarchies or have fewer layers of hierarchies and be more horizontalized. How do you see, Barry, these opportunities for something that is more feasible and that will impact the lives of people and communities in a more direct way? Thank you.
You're right. Our young professionals really want to be more effective in what we do in the way of service around the world. We can't change that. Our structure has to create an opportunity for more service, not less service. And as we evaluate this going forward with the pilots, if they aren't doing more service, then we failed, irregardless of whatever else works. So we've got to be doing more. We know that our eradication of polio is our #1 priority. We have to continue that, and this structure must do that. We also know that water is one of the strongest areas of focus, now that we have 7 areas, and we have to continue that. I'm working with the country of Haiti right now to bring water to every citizen of the country. That's 8 million people who don't have access to good water today. So we have to keep those kind of programs going. That's who we are. That's what we do. And whatever the structure is only the internal structure of how we get there. But our results, our outcomes must stay making sure that we're making our communities better than we ever did before. So yes, polio, we're doing really well. In the last 6 months, we've only had 10 cases of polio. So we really are doing well, and they're only in 2 countries of the world. One of them hasn't had a case this year at all. So we're going to get there with polio, and whatever the structure is, that must maintain as a priority. Whatever the structure is, our Rotary Foundation continues to be the #1 humanitarian organization in the world. So when we talk about all those people who help us to raise funds for the foundation, where they may go into this global cadre, we actually want to increase those numbers significantly. So there's many more qualified Rotarians and Rotaractors who can help us to do more in the way of getting donations, to do more in the way of helping clubs. One thing we really want the section leader to do when they're working with only 10 to 30 clubs is to help them understand how to do a global grant, how to get an international partner. One of our weaknesses, many parts of the world, a club wants to do a grant, but they can't find an international partner. Now that's something the section leader could help with because they don't have all the administrative to do. So I think our structure is going to create a better opportunity to reach out and do more service than we ever have done before. The way I think of it is if by doing this, we have a section leader who is there to help every club. And if they're successful, we end up with every Rotary club and Rotaract club being a strong club. And we all know we have weak clubs around the world. We're not all strong. We have some really strong clubs and we have some really weak clubs. Imagine in our minds if every one of those 47,000 clubs around the world were strong. We would be doing twice the amount of service that we do today. Twice. So we want a structure that's going to enable that improvement of clubs around the world to happen. So I believe this is good for our service, all aspects of service. Thank you.
Obrigado, Barry. As perguntas.
Thank you, Barry. So we have ended the question session. So now for the closing of our meeting.
Oui. Barry, você nos escuta?
Barry, can you hear us?
Yeah, now, yes.
Okay.
Okay, now please, if you would like to make any closing remarks and considerations, please do.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I really appreciate being here with you all tonight and that you're discussing this model. Again, what we want to do is get as much input from around the world as we possibly can. So as we get into the pilot districts, pilot regions, we continue to make this model work better for regions of the world. The one that is most advanced, for your information, is Australia, the Pacific Islands, and New Zealand. They have a committee that's been working on this for 2 years. They're going to start having meetings so that the district governors, the elects, the nominees, all understand it and have input into it before we do it. So this is a long-term effort, not something that's going to happen overnight, but over a long period of time. So we have to have patience. We have to give it an opportunity to show if it'll work and help guide us to parts of it that people aren't comfortable with. Wherever we go, people like the idea of being regional so that the regions have more flexibility on how to run the region than they would in the past. And many districts most like the idea of the cadre because we'll have many more experts that we can call on to help the clubs to improve what they do. The district is where we get into areas of discussion. And we're going to want to start the pilot with the districts in place so we can fit them into this probably at the regional council level. But we do want to get to elections. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but let's try it. And we ask for your support as we move forward and your advice and guidance as we move forward. So really appreciate all of your comments tonight and all of the discussion. Very healthy, good discussion. And I thank you all and I wish you all the best. And I thank you for all the service you do to make our world a better place. Thank you.
Obrigado. Presidente Barry Rassin.
Thank you, President Barry
Por nos prestigiar
Rassin,
nesta noite.
to be here with us
Todos,
today.
estamos todos muito
We are all
honrados com a sua
very
presença
honored
e
with
estou convicto
your
que todos
attendance here,
aprenderam
and I'm
muito hoje sobre o
sure that
futuro
we
do
learned
Rotary.
a lot today about the future of Rotary. It's very good to see this change happening, and I'm sure that the benefits will be seen very soon, because the world changes and Rotary has to change also and look ahead. Thank you all who have participated and who have been with us through YouTube. It was an excellent meeting, and as a Rotarian, as a very important Rotarian, you are an example and inspiration for a new path and new future for Rotary. So we have adjourned the meeting. Thank you very much.